Hello and welcome to another Huddle interview with Gambling Insider. Today we're continuing our affiliate theme, but also with a specific focus on the US market. Joining me today is Harry von Behr, Strategy and Business Development Director at Spotlight Sports Group, formerly known as the Racing Post Group and still operating the Racing Post itself. Thanks for giving us your time, Harry. And how's life at Spotlight Sports Group?
Yeah, very good, Tim. Thank you for having me. I think things are good. I think we're now all very used to lockdown and working from home, and obviously very happy that things are easing up here in the UK and in other markets around the world as well. And it's great to have sports and racing and therefore betting back in full swing.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you say, I'm not going to apologise for mentioning that I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm very happy to have sport back. But like you say, in the UK, we've kind of been blessed with the horse racing back, the sports back. But obviously in the US, sport is slowly coming back.
Slowly, yeah.
And obviously we're here to talk about the US market and affiliates. So just to start off with, can you give us a general state of play when it comes to affiliates in America?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think firstly, it's a really exciting market to be in and space to be operating in. Very rarely do you see a completely new market that inevitably will become the biggest in its industry as it matures. And there's definitely a clearly defined path as to what that looks like when you look at markets such as the UK, others in Europe and Australia. So we're seeing that as the US shifts from black to white, a really exciting opportunity for ourselves and other businesses in the space. I think if you think about the affiliate sector specifically, it's continuing to evolve as you'd expect. As is widely accepted, it doesn't make sense to look at the US market as a single market and instead to understand the dynamics of each specific state. But as the market continues to evolve and continues to regulate, it's an exciting place to be. I think from an affiliate perspective, at the moment, the operators themselves are very much on a land grab, and are looking to build up their market share, with expectations from shareholders and investors very high, and that means it's a good time to be an affiliate business if what you're doing is helping them to drive that. And we've actually got we at Spotlight are, as well as being an affiliate, we've got a strong B2B content and data arm as well. And I think on that side, we're having some really positive conversations with US operators about our ability to provide bet stimulating content and data in that space as well. But what we typically see is at the early stage of a market development, such as in the US, it's all about driving player acquisition and therefore growing share. And then as that market continues to mature, it's more of a focus on yield and monetizing punters better. And that's when the sort of the B2B side kicks in. So it's an interesting place to be. It's an exciting place to be, and I'm sure a lot of your readers and listeners are very focused on it as a market.
Sure, definitely. You talked about content there, and obviously sports betting and wagering, and even sport itself is a little bit different in the US. What kind of how different is the kind of betting content a US audience wants compared to a European audience?
Yeah, we've done a lot of research into the US punter over the last couple of years, and we've obviously seen there is a significant appetite for sports betting and sports betting content over there, which is no surprise, and it's heartening, given the focus for that market. I think that's reflected in some of the rich commercial deals and the CPA deals that operators are handing out. In terms of the content that the audience is looking for, there's a strong desire for picks and tips and predictions, which again isn't a surprise, and that fits nicely with our expertise in sort of bet stimulating content. But I think when you compare the US audience to European sports, as an example, it's a lot more stat heavy. I think if you think about the language that's used within US sport, even that when they talk about performance of players and teams is a lot more linked to statistics than typically the more qualitative approach to talking about sports from a UK and European audience. And you know, our experience in other markets shows that if you're able to link betting tools and betting products to that underlying data to help punters make informed decisions, then that, you know, it's a pretty compelling proposition for the US audience. I think the other point just to mention is the importance of content that educates the audience. A lot of our US audience, from the research we've done and the behaviours we've seen, aren't necessarily used to betting online. And if they are, they're used to potentially betting online with the unregulated black market. So helping punters to understand the differences between regulated and unregulated operators, and also helping them to understand what betting online looks like versus visiting a bricks and mortar casino or a racetrack. I think that's very important, and as well as improving the experience for the audience, also improves your conversions and your yields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely a key point about the education aspect, because AGA CEO Bill Miller has been talking a lot recently about kind of separating the offshore and the legal market. And bearing all that in mind, and obviously you said about content and what the audience wants, what are Spotlight Sports Group's specific plans for the US market? And as you said, kind of, I suppose it varies in different states.
Yeah, it does. We started looking at the US market in early 2018. I think we heard rumours that the Supreme Court were going to look at PASPA, and thought it was, something, given what I mentioned earlier in terms of the sheer potential of the market, it was something you're looking at more seriously. Following the repeal, we reviewed our various options within the market, both in terms of acquisition and partnership opportunities, and also from an organic perspective. Fortunately, the same month that PASPA was repealed, we acquired a business over here in the UK called Apsley Group, which operates, as you may know, Free Super Tips and My Racing and the associated websites, apps and social accounts. And what that business had, and still does have, is market leading experience in building, leading affiliates from scratch. So we've used those capabilities to launch and to grow our own US-facing affiliate site, Pickswise.com. So Pickswise is now live in all the major regulated US states. So we're licensed in New Jersey, West Virginia, Indiana, Colorado, and Pennsylvania, and also operational in states such as Iowa and Illinois that don't require affiliate licensing. And we're live with all the major US operators out there. We've seen strong growth from an audience perspective, and are beginning to see good results in terms of the returns for operators on the affiliate side. But we will continue to look at other inorganic opportunities out there. And if there are ones that make sense to fit within that affiliate portfolio alongside Pickswise, then it's something that we continue to look for. And on the B2B side, we've been in conversations with a number of operators in the US regarding US sports content as they look to replicate the sort of the link between the sportsbook and content that we have built with them over here in Europe. I think particularly on that front, if you look at the strength of content that it has in a retail setting, and I appreciate now isn't potentially the best time for retail, given what's happening on the sort of broader global perspective with coronavirus. But I think the value of content and bet stimulating content in retail sports books and helping to educate and stimulate bettors is something that we've seen to real success over in the UK and mainland Europe, and it's something that the US operators appear to be quite keen to explore over the other side of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm, sure. I mean, it sounds, understandably a big part of the strategy, but a question I'm keen to ask is just how big of a focus is the US for your brand, but also for affiliates generally in the long term? How will it compare to kind of the UK market to European markets?
Yeah, so as I think I mentioned at the start, it's a sort of it's a really unique opportunity that you're going to see a market that is leading in terms of size and scale, and coming from zero to that point as it slowly regulates. So it's obviously a significant opportunity and a significant focus for Spotlight Sports Group. From our perspective, we're ensuring we take a measured approach to it. Very conscious that what we don't want to be doing is burning through significant amounts of cash at an early stage as the market continues to form. But also on the flip side, recognizing that you need to make a serious play here, given the potential scale of what the size of the market and therefore the opportunity for the business could look like. We're confident that we already have the tools and the capabilities within the business to make inroads in the US, and therefore continue to make the smart investments that we have made, and therefore can create material value in the market, and therefore the US will be a large part of the future strategy on both the sport and the racing side. In terms of where it sits versus other markets, the UK and Ireland remains our largest territory at the moment, but I think the likes of the US and also others such as if you look at the potential for regulation in the likes of Brazil and the potential scale of that market, and then also other markets as they move from grey to white as well, I think they'll increasingly be a focus for the business in the medium to long term. I don't think there's any shying away from the fact that businesses that are operating in largely mature markets are going to come under a significant amount of regulatory pressure, as we are seeing here in the UK, and affiliates that operate heavily in the likes of Scandinavia, as an example, are facing. And therefore, I think it's important to have a balanced portfolio when you think about different territories. I guess on the flip side of that, from our perspective, we as a business only operate in regulated white markets, and therefore we'll continue to keep a close eye on regulation and how that evolves, and that will definitely inform where we focus. But that's why the likes of the US are really, really important for us. I think the other part of your question, in terms of how important it's likely to be for others in the industry, I guess both on the affiliate and the operator side, it's inevitably going to be a significant part of their plans. It's a huge opportunity. And as we can see from some of the bets that have been placed in that market, either the acquisitions that have taken place on the affiliate side, but also on the operator side, and also some of the partnerships that have been made on the operator side, with large media businesses out in the US, it's going to be a significant focus. I think you can see that by reading the shareholder reports and listening to the shareholder presentations. A lot of people are staking a lot on success in the US, and I think that's good for affiliates when operators are focusing on the US so significantly. It means that there's a huge amount of opportunity for those people who can be the intermediary between the punters and the sportsbooks themselves. So I think it's going to be really interesting the next sort of 3 to 5 to 10 years. There'll be there'll be some serious winners in the space, and also I suspect some serious losers. But ultimately, only time will tell as to what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, certainly a busy time for the US, but certainly an exciting one as well. Thanks for joining us, Harry. Thanks for the insight, and thanks very much for your time today.
Pleasure.
For our viewers, as always, be sure to keep up with the latest affiliate updates in Trafficology magazine and the latest US updates on GamingAmerica.com. Thanks for watching, and goodbye until next time.